There is a mystery that governs all of our lives, an invisible force that can imprison us in limitations or open doors to unimaginable wealth. Few understand it, but within the mind lies a secret territory where every thought becomes destiny. This territory is silent, yet powerful enough to build empires or destroy opportunities before they even happen. And the question that echoes is simple yet disturbing. If what you live today is a reflection of what was planted in your mind, what harvest is being silently reaped? Wealth or scarcity? Abundance or lack? The enigma is before us, but only those who dare to look within can decipher it and change their own story. This video is an invitation to a journey, not only about money, but about inner power, faith, and the art of shaping reality from the invisible. Get ready, because here you will learn how to train your subconscious mind to achieve wealth, following the principles that inspired Napoleon Hill and transformed ordinary people into true builders of fortune. There is a hidden secret within every person, a silent power that directs their steps without them realizing it. This force can be life's greatest prison or its greatest treasure, the subconscious mind. Many live entire decades believing they are in control, but in reality, they are guided by old, invisible ideas that shape every choice and every outcome. It is like an underground river that, though hidden, defines the path of the waters on the surface. Think of someone who wants to prosper, but keeps repeating patterns of failure. They work hard, yet always end up back in the same place. It is not bad luck nor a cruel destiny. It is the subconscious storing old beliefs and acting as an invisible autopilot. When this inner mind is trained, doors open, opportunities appear, and even the impossible seems to align in one's favor. The big question is, who governs your life, you or what was planted inside you without your permission? That answer can be the key to freedom or the cause of stagnation. The subconscious is like a vault. If inside it are only memories of scarcity, nothing else can be withdrawn. But if it is programmed with ideas of abundance, then wealth will flow naturally. When Napoleon Hill dedicated more than 20 years of his life to studying the richest men of his time, he discovered something surprising. It wasn't just talent, nor luck, and much less physical effort that made them millionaires. There was a silent secret, an inner practice they all shared, training the subconscious mind to accept the idea of wealth as inevitable. This nearly invisible detail was the thread connecting such different stories. Imagine a young man with no inheritance, no important contacts, and no great opportunities. Even so, he became a giant in finance because he had learned to program his mind to believe and visualize abundance before it appeared. Hill realized this pattern repeated itself among industrialists, inventors, and leaders of his era. It wasn't coincidence, it was method. It was mental discipline applied with faith and constancy. This was the great promise Hill delivered to the world in his works. Anyone, by aligning their subconscious with images of prosperity and clear goals, could transform their life. Once the mind is convinced, it begins working silently, attracting circumstances, people, and opportunities. It is as if an invisible magnet settles in the heart, pulling closer what once seemed unattainable. Many people say they want wealth, but few truly attract it. Wanting is born at the surface from the conscious mind, but attracting comes from the depths of the subconscious. It is like someone claiming to desire prosperity, but internally repeating ideas such as, money is hard, life is unfair, or it's not for people like me. In this conflict, the subconscious always wins because it dictates the invisible choices that move every step. Those who only desire may even work tirelessly, but seem to walk in circles, always returning to the starting point. Meanwhile, those who attract create a magnetic field around themselves. Their words, their actions, even the way they perceive situations reveal coherence between thought and reality. When that happens, opportunities begin to appear, not as magic, but as the natural result of a mind trained to recognize and welcome what once seemed distant. The difference is subtle yet profound. Wanting is asking. Attracting is already carrying within the certainty that it belongs to your destiny. When the subconscious accepts a new truth, the outer life begins to reorganize. to manifest that scenario, and at that moment, wealth ceases to be a distant dream and becomes a natural consequence of an inner state of abundance. Each person is guided by a silent force, a power that acts long before conscious decisions. This power is the subconscious, which records experiences, beliefs, and emotions, turning them into patterns of behavior. It is as if an invisible compass is always pointing the direction life will take, without the person realizing it. Those who carry ideas of limitation, unknowingly, are guided down narrow paths. Those who carry ideas of abundance find broader roads full of possibilities. Stories abound to prove this. There are those who, coming from poverty, broke barriers by replacing beliefs of scarcity with images of prosperity. Like that simple salesman who began to believe in his worth and became the owner of his own business, or that mother who, despite difficulties, taught her children that they were capable of dreaming big, and later saw them achieve outstanding careers. The subconscious was trained to guide them not toward lack, but toward achievement. This power is invisible, but its consequences are visible in every detail of life. In the job chosen, the people one associates with, even in the way one reacts to challenges. The secret is not to control everything around, but to reprogram what moves within. Because when the inner mind aligns with abundance, the external life begins to reflect this new direction. The subconscious can be compared to a massive iceberg. The visible part, floating above the water, represents the conscious mind, small, logical, and limited. The hidden, submerged, and enormous part is the subconscious, silent, deep, and decisive. It sustains what appears on the surface. That's why, even if someone says they want to prosper, if the bottom of the iceberg is loaded with beliefs of scarcity, the visible reality will reflect only lack. Another powerful image is that of a hidden vault. Whatever is stored there, whether hope or fear, becomes commands that shape life. When someone stores negative ideas, that vault releases signals that attract difficulties. When they store thoughts of abundance, it releases paths of growth. It doesn't matter what is spoken aloud, what is kept inside is what truly governs. This hidden part of the mind doesn't argue, doesn't question, and doesn't judge. It simply accepts and repeats what is deposited, with emotion and consistency. It is like fertile soil that, when receiving seeds, will cultivate them without asking if they are flowers or weeds. Whatever germinates will sooner or later become the landscape of life. There is an invisible thread connecting faith and prosperity. This thread is not religious but spiritual, and it lies in how the subconscious mind responds to what is deeply believed. When someone has genuine faith in their ability to prosper, their inner mind receives this conviction as an unquestionable command. This silent certainty transforms fear into courage and barriers into stepping stones. Faith works as a password that unlocks the vault of the subconscious. It's not about waiting for miracles without action, but about believing so deeply that action becomes natural, filled with confidence. Thus, the person doesn't just work. They work with clarity, enthusiasm, and direction. It is this energy of certainty that attracts opportunities, the right people, and decisive moments. Napoleon Hill discovered that all the millionaires he studied possessed this unshakable conviction. They didn't just wish, they believed, saw, and felt wealth before it manifested. This practical faith, united with a trained subconscious, formed a secret dialogue between the mind and life. Whoever learns to speak this inner language discovers that prosperity is not just a dream, but an inevitable path. Every thought planted in the mind is like a seed sown in the soil. The subconscious is that fertile ground which doesn't argue, it simply germinates what it receives. If the seeds are of scarcity, I can't, I'll never succeed, money isn't for me, the harvest will inevitably be difficulties and debts. But if the seeds are of abundance, confidence, and faith in prosperity, life begins to blossom with opportunities and results. It's easy to see this principle in daily life. A person who constantly thinks of lack ends up attracting situations that confirm that reality, unexpected bills, losses, limitations. On the other hand, someone who cultivates thoughts of abundance starts to notice hidden chances, connect with the right people, and even turn obstacles into open doors. The outer world, in this case, is only a reflection of the inner seeds. The most fascinating thing is that the power of choice is always in our hands. Every day, each thought is a new seed thrown into the future. When the subconscious mind is fed with ideas of wealth and gratitude, it takes charge of transforming that planting into reality. It's not magic, it's harvest. Everyone lives today the fruit of what was planted yesterday. Many think the law of attraction is just an abstract concept, but Napoleon Hill showed that it is a real and practical mechanism. When the subconscious mind receives clear, emotional images of wealth, it begins to act like a magnet, attracting circumstances aligned with that vision. The secret lies in clarity. It is not enough to wish to be rich. One must visualize numbers, goals, achievements, and even the feeling of already living that reality. Take a simple example. Someone decides to save a specific amount. They don't just think about saving, but mentally see themselves with that money, feel the peace of having it, and act daily as if it were already part of their life. This practice gradually shapes their behavior, influencing their decisions, and little by little reality begins to reflect the image created internally. This is the practical essence of the law of attraction. The subconscious mind, when trained, with images charged with faith and emotion, begins to find paths that were once invisible. The opportunities were always there, but they can only be recognized by those who already carry them within. Prosperity, in this sense, is more a matter of internal perception than of external luck. Many people believe they don't advance in life due to lack of opportunities, but the truth is they are often trapped in an invisible cycle, self-sabotage. This cycle begins with beliefs rooted since childhood, phrases heard repeatedly like, "Money is dirty," "the rich are bad," or "we'll never have enough." These ideas, stored in the subconscious, start to direct behaviors without the person realizing it. Thus, even when good chances arise, they hesitate, procrastinate, or make decisions that push them away from prosperity. It is like someone planting a tree but cutting its roots every day without noticing. The effort seems to exist, but results never come. And the more this repeats, the stronger the negative belief becomes, closing the cycle of scarcity. Breaking free from this prison requires awareness. When repeated patterns of failure or blockage are identified, it is a sign that the subconscious is in control with old programming. The good news is that by reprogramming those records with new thoughts and emotions of abundance, the cycle can be broken. And when that happens, people discover it was never lack of ability, but only hidden beliefs that needed to be replaced. The subconscious is not convinced by loose words, but by repetition charged with emotion. Repeating a phrase mechanically does not bring transformation. However, when the affirmation is felt deeply, with vivid images and strong emotions, the subconscious mind records it as truth. It is like a child who learns through insistence and the way the message is delivered. Imagine someone who every day repeats the phrase, "I am prosperous." If they say it just for the sake of saying it, it will be only empty sound. But if they close their eyes, feel prosperity flowing through their veins, visualize paid bills, opportunities arriving, freedom of choice, then that phrase ceases to be words and becomes an order engraved in the subconscious. That difference is what separates a passing desire from a transforming conviction. That is why repetition must be daily, consistent, and always accompanied by true emotion. The more charged with feelings the practice is, the deeper the message goes. Over time, this new truth becomes natural, and the inner mind begins to shape the outer reality to match what was recorded. One of the simplest and most powerful practices is creating a mental check. The idea is to write on paper or even in your imagination a specific amount of money you wish to achieve. It is not enough to think vaguely. It must be detailed, clear, and objective. This check should be visualized every day, as if it were already in your hands, bringing the real sensation of ownership and gratitude. Many who applied this technique noticed how their attitudes changed. By looking at this imaginary check, the subconscious mind begins working silently, opening vision to opportunities that once went unnoticed. The person begins to behave according to the wealth they already feel they possess, attracting situations, that make the amount written on that paper possible. This practice is not just symbolic but strategic. When the subconscious receives this specific command, it begins aligning thoughts, decisions, and actions toward that result. The mental check is not just a piece of paper. It is a password to access the creative power of the mind and transform a desire into tangible reality. For many, spirituality and money seem to be on opposite sides, but in reality, they walk together when understood correctly. Material prosperity is not only about accumulation, but about expressing the natural abundance of the universe in our practical lives. The subconscious, when nourished with this vision, begins to see money not as an end in itself, but as a means to expand possibilities and generate positive impact. It is important to understand that true wealth is born from within. When someone lives connected to spiritual values such as gratitude, generosity, and faith, their relationship with money becomes lighter and more constructive. They don't just seek to have, but also to contribute. This inner harmony creates an energy that attracts financial opportunities aligned with a greater purpose. Prosperity, in this sense, is the consequence of balance. Money then ceases to be something that divides faith and practice. On the contrary, it becomes a channel to manifest what already exists in abundance within. The bridge between spirituality and finances lies in realizing that the subconscious mind is the meeting place of these two forces, transforming conviction into reality. There was a young man who grew up in poverty, hearing every day that life was hard and money only came to a few. For years he believed that voice, and no matter how much he tried, he always seemed stuck in the same place, until the day he decided to change the dialogue within himself. He began to repeat daily phrases of abundance, to visualize a prosperous future, and to feed his subconscious with images of financial freedom. At first, nothing seemed different, but little by little, his mind began to see what had been invisible before. He noticed opportunities for work, developed business ideas, and attracted people who believed in his projects. What once was impossible began to become reality. And so, with discipline and faith, the young man built a solid path until he achieved the wealth that had seemed so distant. This story illustrates what Napoleon Hill had already revealed. Change does not begin outside, but inside. By training his subconscious, this young man not only transformed his financial reality, but also discovered a new version of himself, more confident, free, and capable of leading his life with clarity. The invisible power that had been dormant finally awakened. The subconscious mind responds to what is repeated daily, so creating a ritual is essential. One of the most powerful involves 3 simple steps: visualize, affirm, and act. Visualize by closing your eyes and seeing yourself, living the desired reality with as much detail as possible. Affirm by reinforcing that vision with words filled with emotion and certainty, and act by taking small concrete steps, even modest ones, that confirm what has already been imagined. This ritual, practiced every day, works like training for the subconscious. When visualizing, a person plants images. When affirming, they water those seeds with emotion. And when acting, they show the mind they are committed. This cycle strengthens inner conviction and produces external results. It is like an athlete who trains daily until their body responds naturally, without effort. The secret lies in consistency. It's not about waiting for immediate changes, but about cultivating a state of abundance until it becomes natural. Gradually, the subconscious accepts this new programming and begins to align life with the imagined wealth. The daily ritual is, therefore, the bridge between dream and reality. Many people believe that achieving wealth is a matter of luck or destiny, but the real turning point happens when one realizes it is all about alignment. When trained, the subconscious works in harmony with conscious actions. This eliminates the feeling of constant struggle and makes way for a natural flow of prosperity. What once seemed impossible begins to become inevitable. This shift is not a single event, but a state of clarity. It is when a person understands that they no longer need to chase desperately, because the inner mind has already accepted wealth as part of their identity. At this point, Even challenges cease to be obstacles and become steps toward the next level. Life begins to respond differently because the inner vibration has changed. When the subconscious and the conscious walk together, there is no longer room for self-sabotage. A calm confidence emerges, a silent strength guiding every step. This is the true key, realizing that prosperity does not depend only on physical effort, but on aligning what one thinks, feels, and does. From then on, wealth becomes a natural reflection of the new inner identity. Now, in light of everything revealed, the most important question is not if it works, but rather, what will you choose to plant within yourself from today on? Every thought, every belief, and every emotion are seeds sown in the fertile soil of the subconscious mind. And the fruit sooner or later will be harvested. The power is in your hands, because the mind can be trained to attract wealth, abundance, and freedom. This is the moment to turn the key. Don't wait for external circumstances to change before believing. Change begins inside. Napoleon Hill showed that the starting point of prosperity is always an inner decision. When one decides to take control of their own mind, the world begins to align, as if invisible doors opened along the way. Therefore, this is an invitation to transformation, to awakening your true strength. The question that now echoes is simple yet powerful. What new wealth will you choose to create today? We have reached the end of this journey, but the true walk begins within you. The subconscious mind is the soil where life flourishes, and everything you desire may already be growing silently, ready to manifest. When you live and deeply feel abundance, your reality begins to transform before your eyes. Remember, it is not just about money, but about freedom, purpose, and faith in a greater future. Prosperity is born when courage and conviction meet. It is time to allow yourself to believe, to visualize, and to act with confidence, knowing that each step taken with faith builds the path of your own wealth. If this video spoke to you, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. The world needs awakened people, and maybe you are one of them. And now I leave you with a question to reflect on and comment. What does true prosperity mean in your life?